Hi, everyone. Hope you had a great week and enjoyed the exploration of primary sources. They can be really fascinating and offer great perspectives when studying history. This week, however, we will be focusing on the arts. So let's jump right into a review of week three. There's a couple things I want to cover from last week, and a brief recap, and then get rolling with week four. So this was last week, History and Social Science Framework, Chapter 21, focusing on instructional strategies. We'll revisit this later. I didn't want to make the video too long because I do want to cover number four on the list there, teaching difficult topics with primary sources, and we'll do that in a couple subsequent slides. So chapter one, this emphasis was on discipline-specific skills. So, as you recall, in history, reading and interpreting primary and secondary sources was a focus, writing historical arguments. In geography, using geographic representations and other technologies to make reasoned decisions. And then across all disciplines, what you've learned about in other classes, metacognition, this strategy about thinking about one's thinking, and using that to connect what students are learning. Um, Today's events are essentially tomorrow's histories. Um, so one of the other things that it touched on is how in our history and social science classrooms we'll use a variety of texts, not just relying on the textbooks. Primary sources, secondary sources, maps, our textbooks, of course, um, newspaper, literature, blogs, all of those can be sources you use in your history social science class. And also that students should be engaging in reading, writing, speaking, listening, and interpreting visuals. So not just reading a chapter, answering the questions at the end. These are all integrated into discipline-based instruction. So teaching difficult topics. Um, Teaching difficult topics is really an essential part of meaningful social science instruction, because it helps students better understand history, society, and really their role as informed citizens and future decision makers. Using primary sources provides this real authentic perspective that encourages students to analyze events, consider multiple frameworks or viewpoints, develop critical thinking. So, when we thoughtfully plan instruction and establish respectful classroom norms, provide age appropriate content, provide some context, students are better able to engage with sensitive content, in productive, meaningful ways where they're not shouting at each other across the room, um, or vilifying folks if they have a point of view different than their own. But ultimately, integrating primary sources when teaching challenging topics um, does a lot of different things. Promotes empathy, deeper understanding, and the developmental um, skills necessary for lifelong learning. So I created a brief chart based on the article, some examples of what are maybe considered difficult topics, and again, must be age appropriate. Some of these you're definitely, a lot of you teach in a kinder or TK classroom. Um, your difficult topic may be different. It may be how do we be safe? How are we safe on the playground? What are the rules about our bodies? And keeping our hands to ourselves. So, but racism, slavery, genocide. And so there's a pretty good list there. I want to jump over to teacher considerations. So these are some things to think about, and it's important that we don't just jump right into a topic. We saw something on the news the night before or the morning news on our way to work, and then just kind of um, students, what do you think about this that we read on the news? Be thoughtful about it. Think about it. Think about know your students, anticipate some of their reactions. especially in California, multicultural communities and societies in classrooms. If there are, we want to be respectful of the students in our classes. If the controversial or difficult topic involves their race, religion, culture, nationality, um, gender identity. Also provide support for students if you're having an intentional discussion so that the bell rings, they all run out, and they're left with these thoughts the rest of the day. And work on being a facilitator rather than a lecturer. Okay, so we'll jump right into week 4 now. So week 4, we're going to be exploring the arts framework, culture, and the arts. As always, all the information is in the week 4 tab in Brightspace. We do have a discussion this week. Initial post. This is an interesting one. I particularly like this discussion. Initial post by Wednesday, 2 peer responses due by Sunday, and then your exit ticket. And the assignment this week, my art influence. Again, I think this week, week 4, is, yeah, you're going to like this week. There's some really good stuff happening. So there is a bit of reading. We're trying to minimize it a little bit. But so the arts framework, there's 3 chapters in the arts framework. Music, theater, and visual arts. That's going to be chapters 5, 6, and 7. And then the other reading is integrating arts learning with the Common Core state standards. And as always, you do want to take some time to explore the other learning resources that are in the in this week. Spotlight on the arts. There's a short video. Also, Kennedy Center lesson plans. So some great lesson plans in there that you can explore and possibly integrate into your own classrooms. And express yourself, arts integration in the classroom. This is the video. This is going to show some real world examples about how that is going for one particular classroom. So arts integration. This is a 5-minute video, showcases how one teacher integrates art into her curriculum. She shares a project where her students painted their own moons, which was inspired by their study of the first moon landing. The video also features examples from other teachers and examples of how other teachers have been engaging students learning. One, I believe, was about pioneers and Buffalo. It's a short video, about 5 minutes. So each of these chapters, like I said, there's some considerable reading if we're reading cover to cover. Each of these chapters is about 120 pages each. So the expectation is not that we read them front to back, but I do want you to familiarize yourself with what is there and bookmark the links. Also, jump to the very end of each chapter and read the conclusions. That is a great way to tackle a lot of the material as well. The authors provide a great synopsis of not only the importance of each, but they also provide the why. So the second bit of reading is integrating arts learning with the Common Core state standards. This particular piece is divided up into 3 parts. Learning in the Common Core and the arts, core principles, and then a conclusion. So this first part really talks about how arts naturally reinforce the Common Core state standards in language arts and math. You have interpretation, observation, research, writing, reasoning, and how we use these arts-based strategies to support all of those. The part 2, there's 8 core principles that they describe, emphasizing empowering relevant curriculum, strong resources, assessment, professional learning, community engagement, leadership. So there's 8 core principles that they describe, and how arts integration in your classroom supports diverse learners, provides multiple entry points, differentiated instruction, varied learning styles, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, project-based learning. So some really great strategies based around these 8 core principles. Okay, so the discussion. Um, your discussion mentions, the prompt mentions multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, and transdisciplinary. I have a great handout, sort of a cheat sheet, and I'll post that in the announcements along with the video, really describing the 3. A lot of us, are possibly more familiar with multidisciplinary, where we're working on a project with ELA and social studies, math, and science. The other forms of collaboration also very powerful. So using the reading as a reference for the discussion, discuss the opportunities and challenges with arts integration in the school environment you teach or anticipate teaching in. Then share your personal experience with the arts. So it's part 2. So opportunities and challenges, period. Then share your personal experience with the arts in school. So it's asking you to do 2 things. And if these experiences were multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, or transdisciplinary, if you can attach the experience to any of those 3. So again, ask probing questions, ask clarifying questions, share an insight maybe that you read, offer support, challenge the position. But remember, this is a discussion and not strictly an academic activity. We don't necessarily need citations because this is asking, discuss opportunities and challenges, and it's asking about your own personal experiences. The other thing is we're all reading the same text. Share your thoughts and experiences implementing the arts in your school rather than just a recap of the reading. If you're not presently in the classroom, describe what you believe may be some of the challenges to the school or grade level that you intend or want to teach in. Okay, so this is the My Art Influences I was talking about that I'm super excited for. You're going to create a PowerPoint slide, use Canva, a Padlet, some other multimedia source, and identify 5 different works of art that have had an impact on your life. It could be a painting, a movie you watched, a play, a song. So you don't have to represent all 5 of the Vivapa domains. You must do at least 3. So if I were tackling this assignment, if I were to go with music, I'd likely pick maybe an artist from my childhood, like Motown, that my mom played growing up, or maybe I choose something from the 80s during high school. Dance, I don't know that there was a lot of dance that had an influence on me. I might choose, if we're sticking with the theme of the 80s, I might choose breakdancing from the 80s. And yes, I was in a breakdancing crew growing up in the Valley. Visual arts, again, let's stick with the theme of the 80s. Maybe I choose Art Deco revival or pastel-infused pop culture prevalent in the 80s. Theater, popular movie, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, I don't know, I'll pick a movie. For media arts, maybe I pick when MTV and video was king. Maybe I pick a video from the 80s that was influential. Maybe I choose a Michael Jackson video, Thriller, Billie Jean, or Beat It or something. So you're going to choose five pieces of art. You have to represent at least three of the VAPA domains. So on each of your 5 slides, the artist's name, the domain it represents. Again, use the naming convention that we've learned. A pictorial representation of your selection. Full explanation of your choice, how it impacted you. Must be aesthetically pleasing. Layout, font, background, artistic display, and any other information that you like to share. Optional. And so again, go to the week 4 overview in Brightspace, and full directions are linked there in the menu. Okay, and begin. Well, we should have already started thinking, but continue thinking about your fieldwork assignment due in week 7. 5 hours of fieldwork. That includes time you spend in the field. Observe a K-8 arts or social studies lesson. Although the goal is, if you can get out into the community, attend an art performance, an art exhibit, a cultural experience in the community, visit a museum, interview a potential guest speaker, attend an art class or workshop, and then account for 5 hours. And so really, if you're out in a museum, that's part of the time, and you're planning and you're developing the presentation as part of that also. Because the goal is to learn about the community and cultural resources available to you for classroom instruction in history and the arts. And lastly, don't forget about exit ticket. Pretty straightforward as always. 3 things you learned, 2 things you want to try, 1 helpful or interesting point from our weekly video. Oh, looks like my camera died. But that's all I got for this week. I hope you found this week helpful. Don't forget to book a 15-minute one-on-one. I put the Calendly link in our announcements. If none of those times work well for you, just reach out and we can schedule something that is most convenient. I'll also post. Some folks said they couldn't find the link to the office hours, so I'll pin that to the top of the announcements as well. Call, text, email if you need anything. Have a great week.